Saunas. So the claim, big one from saunas, this is like the big bro science claim, is that they help you lose weight. And you'll often see people sat in the sauna trying to like grind it out, tolerating as long as they can because they think it's going to help with their weight loss. I think you'll know that's obviously bollocks, because what's that doing for your calorie expenditure? Nothing. You're just being uncomfortable for a while. That's not to say that saunas are useless overall, but it's for a fat loss purpose. You just got to manage your calorie balance, eat less food, expend more calories. What's cool about saunas is that there's actually a whole host of multi-system benefits that aren't really talked about. So this ranges from mood enhancement, improving cardiovascular conditioning, and cardiometabolic benefits, so improving your blood lipid profile, detoxification of stuff that gets accumulated in the cells. So we're going to talk about estrogen a bit later, but there are some environmental sources of estrogen and plastics and microplastics that can't be metabolized in the liver, and they just get stuck in fat cells. And sauna and sweating is a good way to actually clear that. It's an effective means of excreting that stuff. And we have seen stuff in some data of symptomatic improvements from people that have had toxins accumulating in them. Quite an interesting study of the firemen and building recovery people who helped out after September the 11th, 2001, that started to develop what they thought was a Parkinsonian tremor, but obviously they were way too young to be developing that. And some surgeon took them through this sauna protocol with a couple of additional things. And the towels were like stained with purple residue. And it turned out that what they'd done is they'd inhaled manganese, and they developed manganese toxicity. And the sauna had helped them to actually clear it out.
Wow, that is incredible. I wonder who thought, let's trial that as a. My question, Yusuf, would be how frequently we have to engage in the duration of the sauna itself, but how frequently we would have to be doing that. Because again, you see now people buy those kind of portable saunas for their garden, or you can get like a little shed thing versus me who might go to the spa once every couple of months, sit in, decide they think it's too hot after a couple of minutes and leave. I'm going to guess that isn't going to be net positive to my health.
Yeah, unfortunately, to get the benefits that you see in the data, the cardiometabolic benefits, the improvement in running time to exhaustion, pretty cool, but to induce the heat shock proteins and get these multi-system benefits, you do need to, it's quite a rigorous protocol that they put them through. I think it was 30 minutes 3 times a week or thereabouts.
That's a long time. It's not, I don't find them that comfortable. You mentioned there about improving your cardiovascular. I find my breathing gets really shallow when I'm in. Is that just pure cardiovascular health?
It might also just be that the air is quite thick, isn't it? But
yeah,
I do think anecdotally that women tolerate heat worse than men. I don't know if that's to do with
layer, don't we? We have that extra layer of fat on us, don't we? Does that do anything?
Possibly, or maybe just the resting temperature. No idea.
I just think you're a little bit more stubborn. So you're like, I've committed to this sauna. I'm going to sit in here for half an hour until I've shriveled. But that is a good point. I know you mentioned
it's lad points, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How much room can I take up in this chamber, and how long can I sit here? You've seen the men, the ones that particularly the old. I know you mentioned and you caveated this about weight loss, but it is a practice that the likes of your boxers will use. But just to say, they are doing that to drop scale weight for a very short period of time. I've got a bottle of water here. As soon as you're consuming that after, you're going to be, it's just dehydration, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to dehydrate yourself for whatever reason, I wouldn't recommend it. It's very dangerous to try and dehydrate yourself. But
people even exercise in the sauna, don't they? They will exercise in saunas to get down to those weights. Doesn't sound pleasant. I don't even like to sit in them.
I agree. The risk-reward ratio is not worth it. And one thing I should say, just final point about lad points, is that it can reduce sperm motility over time. So it's a reversible thing. So once you stop using the sauna, we've seen that sperm motility and number comes up again, but just something to bear in mind.
That's really interesting. So cold showers are going to increase your testosterone.
Unfortunately, it's claimed that that's the case, but they acutely reduce testosterone as well.
Testosterone's not having an easy ride of it at the moment, isn't it?
It's because your balls are outside your body, not your balls, but one's balls are outside the body to maintain a very kind of narrow range of temperature. So if you mess with it, they don't function optimally.